Hi, and welcome to the never-ending belt sanding project. I've got a gazillion hours in on this already with 8 complete redesigns. I decided to pursue this project by starting from scratch rather than using someone else's design and trying to imitate it. So I'm sure I've come up short in a lot of ways, but it was just an interesting project, so I decided to go for it. We finished the outside So far we finished the outside components of this. We finished the rollers in the last few videos. Now we're going to do these 2 brackets here that hold the plate that supports the bottom roller. In addition, this top cross piece, they're actually fairly thick piece of metal. This is 2 inches by almost 3 inches deep. That is the belt tensioning device. It takes a worm gear driving a threaded rod, ACME threaded rod with 2 other support sleeves and rods in a triangular sort of formation. Let's see, can you see that here? Sort of, you can see it here. Anyways, that will bring the whole assembly up to tension the belt, and then this thing tilts like this, and that's controlled by this threaded section here, which haven't completely designed yet. For better reference, why don't I take you over and we will go and look at the actual device itself. Alrighty, so here's the outside case, which you've seen me complete in previous videos. Here is the bracket that holds the bottom roller. This drive shaft goes through this bearing here, also through the bearing on this side, and is supported, but it's actually off the bottom, raised up off the bottom. That's why I don't have it hooked up. You've got another sleeve here and another sleeve here, and that holds the tension adjusting mechanism. That'll be up here. This plate is the pressure plate. It's a 1/2 inch piece of aluminum. Over on top of that goes a piece of spring steel, and that will be what you're pressing against. Let's see. So we're going to make the cross piece, one that goes here, those 4 holes and these 4 holes over here, and that cross piece will support the bottom, and then the top also includes part of the tensioning assemblies I'd mentioned. And that's where we are so far. If I had to do all over again, I noticed as I was doing this, what I did was I started with CAD, and I started with the 2 drive pulleys and the belt length, and then started building everything around that, and I shifted things, and I made a huge mistake. We'll notice that this is asymmetrical, and there was absolutely no reason for the bolt pattern to be asymmetrical. It's just going to make my drilling the threaded holes on the other pieces that much harder, because I got to make sure that my reference corner matches on both sides, or I will be totally hosed. And it's very easy to do. As you can tell, I've got 2 holes in this guy because I screwed that up, as well as the bearing placement on the wrong side, all because this part's asymmetrical. And I could have just, after I was done moving stuff around to make everything else right, I could have reshifted the bolt hole pattern so it was symmetrical about this piece. Also, this piece is 2.96 instead of 3 inches. No reason it couldn't have been 3 inches. So that was another foop on my part. Basically, when I started in CAD, and I just started manipulating things, and it's pretty easy to get lost. That's why I came up with 8 iterations. All right, let's head over to the mill. And I've pre-machined these 2 chunks of aluminum right here. As you can tell, they are pretty large chunks of aluminum, and they are the support bars for the bottom bracket and the tension assembly. So we're going to start with the simple part, some holes in the front. On the bottom piece is really easy. It's got 2 threaded holes in the front, and either side gets 4 holes that match those that you were seeing before, and that's it. This one gets those same holes plus a bunch more, and that's a little bit more complicated. So we'll just sort of show this briefly, and we'll spend more time on this one. Over here I've got my scale drawings, and I should have labeled this on the drawing, but I manually did it. Front and then top would be here, front over here, and top would be here. This is the top up here, and you can see it's got a bunch of complicated things because there's a thrust bearing as well as a regular bearing down here, and then the gear goes on the bottom of the shaft that protrudes through there. We still got to make that shaft. So I learned an interesting time-saving step today, which is really silly. I didn't learn it earlier, but in any case, you know, when you're finding your zero, say an X, so you get this set and you touch off, then normally the way I was shown how to do it is you come up here and you hit X0, but in reality you can come over and here hit X, 0.1, and then I'm 100 thousandths offset, and I don't have to do the part where you come over this way, go over 100 thousandths and re-zero. Don't have to spend the time doing that. I can just type in the offset. Probably was really obvious to a bunch of people. I don't know, it never occurred to me that I could do it, but sure can, and it sure speeds things up. I'm using the Tom Lipton stolen idea of a stop here, and I verified that it was repeatable. I'm taking the part out, putting it back in, and next up we're just going to drill some holes, drill and tap. One more quick thing, I always do a sanity check, and it saved my bacon because one more thing about entering that offset into the DRO, I set it at 0.1, it should have been minus 0.1, so I was off by 0.4. So my first mark was, this is probably easier for you to read, my first mark was right over here, right there, and you can see that's not at 2.5 inches. The second mark I put there is at 2.5 inches. So I always do a sanity check, but don't forget to get the offset in the right direction. So it was minus 0.1, not positive 0.1. That could really be a gotcha. Next up, we're going to drill and tap the 4 end holes, and that's a little challenging because I can't put it in the vise and still fit it underneath the quill. So I took my grinding vise and put it off in the normal vise, sticking out, just to hold it in place because all the force is going down for the most part. Tiny little bit of twist, but nothing significant. Easily should hold it. So we're just going to drill and tap the 4 holes in the top, making sure to get my reference correct. So the front top corner is my reference, just like the bottom, the front top corner will be my reference, which means when I flip this up, my reference is going to the back side here, and so I'm gonna have to re-indicate 0. So I'm gonna do 4 holes on this one, and take this out, put the other one in its place, do the same 4 holes with the top and front reference the same way, and then I'm gonna refine my zeros on the back and do the other side. Okay, I finished the second piece, and I've drawn some lines here because it's asymmetrical spacing, so this bottom part is closer. I probably should have just marked the closer side. Then, when I take this guy and I flip it, my reference corner is now moving to this side, which I'm going to have to refine it. And I need to know that this is the small side. Alright, so this part is completely done. Both sides and the front. And we should be good to go now. Okay, here's a test fit. So there's the roller down below with the drive shaft, so I can just spin it out here. And this is the bottom one that's complete. These are not the right screws that I've got in here right now. And this is the top one that's got to come back out again because I've got some more holes to drill on top, and that go all the way through this way, including the one that holds the shaft for the gear, and a couple other items. All right, next up, we're going to make this shaft right here, this shaft, and this shaft. These I just cut to length. This design is my old design. They're actually going to be drilled and tapped from the bottom. They actually go much deeper into this piece here, and their length is not ultra critical because they just go through this upper piece here that sets the tilt and tension on the belt. This guy, the Acme threaded rod, I've got to turn down a section that's 1/2 inch on it, and I don't know how hard it is, so we'll see how feasible that is. And last but not least, we got to make this shaft, which now also is different. I've completely changed the design on that. The worm gear, the worm itself, I put a shoulder on the shaft so that there's actually nothing to hold the worm gear left-right in place. There is a key, but nothing to hold it left-right, so I'm going to need a collar on one side, and there's already a collar here, so what instead is I made the shaft larger diameter, and that'll act as a collar on this side, and then I can put just one collar on this side. And so we're going to make those parts next. First up, we got a face and chamfer 2 of these guys. These are the posts that it rides on, and yeah, we just... Length is not critical on these. This one was just saw cut. Interesting, it's just trying to take the burr off. So there's nitride coating here. You see how the file completely floats over it until I get to the material that's not nitride coated. Thought you'd find that interesting. I'm gonna give myself some extra depth. I'm gonna try and power tap it. I went a little bit larger drill bit size than, so instead of number 7, I use number 6. So the point of going so deep is if I power tap and overshoot a little bit, I won't break the tap off. And that's it. On to the next one. Next up is the ACME threaded rod. And we have to do several operations. First, I'm just going to face this side real quick. Not quite enough there. So I've got a nice flat surface to work with because the saw tended to follow the ACME threads. This ACME thread rod is 10 threads per inch, 1 inch, 10 TPI. And I'm going to reduce a fairly large section of this down to 1/2 inch diameter. So I need a center drill, center hole, because I'm going to use live center for it. Okay, so we got a live center in here, and we're just going to get about 4 1/4 inches of this down to 1/2 inch diameter. So I'll be interested to see how well this stuff comes off. I am going to try and go under the thread depth for the first pass, which might be a bit of a big bite. We will see. Hopefully it won't push it back into the collet. We'll see. Check that out. I'll keep the feed rate slow, and we'll see how that goes. Well, it looks like it's going okay so far. Not a great surface finish. Okay, so we've been cutting this down, and the surface finish on this stuff leaves a lot to be desired. I'm going to try a higher feed rate and a lower, a little bit smaller depth of cut. I'm only going to take 40 thousandths off, and that's diametrally, not radially, so 20 thousandths a side. And it's cutting like 4140, which it might be. I actually don't know what the alloy is. So we're going to try a much higher feed rate now and see if that helps. Nope. Oh, it did push in a little bit. That was the live center. Oh, great. Yeah, that's the problem with these 5C collet chucks. They don't really grip super hard. I just didn't want to risk my 6-jaw in this guy. That was probably too high a feed rate for this type of collet. I just tried 1120 RPM with a pretty slow feed rate. Focus, there you go. And the surface finish is better, but still not great. I've gone this really slow feed rates here on the last couple passes, and I'm getting a better finish. It's still not great. It still feels rough to your fingers. I mean, smooth like this, only 10 thousandths depth of cut. All right, so I took a 3 thousandths pass from my last pass. This was a lot of stick out. I'm looking for 0.5. I'm 0.5003 here, and down here I'm 0.5003, essentially not measurable taper, which is pretty impressive. I'm going to take some emery cloth over this real quick, take down the last 3/10, and it's not terrible finish. I went 2.2 thousandths of revolution feed rate, and then just taking, well, the last couple passes were 10 thousandths, and the final pass was 3 thousandths, and then I went back set it to 0, no depth, and then went back over it, and at the very end here it took off a little bit. The tiny depths of cut seem to be getting better finish. I tried large depths of cut, small depths of cut, high feed rate, low feed rate. High feed rate, I can't go much over 11 thousandths of revolution, or this guy starts to have problems. It starts to push into the chuck, so that's no good. And it didn't improve the finish anyways. So I'm really not sure what the magic is with this stuff, and my vertical shear tool didn't do any good either. So anyways, a little disappointing. Another trick when you're using emery cloth or sanding paper is I find if I put some oil on it, it doesn't load up as quickly. And I got to make sure before I go anywhere to get all of that oil and possibly grit off my cross slide, off my ways, so that I don't accidentally cause some damage there. So, took off the high points. That feels pretty smooth. There's one little groove in the center. Let's see how much I took off just for the heck of it. 2/10, almost 3/10 on the money. It's 50 millionths over, according to that. This one's right on the money. So a little tiny bit over. I wonder what that groove is actually at. The groove is a tiny bit under. It's a 1/10 under. So we're going to leave it as is. I guess that's enough material off. That's pretty smooth. I'm going to clean this up with a chamfer. This face has been made square. I will probably chamfer that just a little bit so that it doesn't accidentally damage threads. In case it has a sharp spot or a burr. All right, here's the completed part. ACME threads on the top and 1/2 inch shaft on the bottom.